let's talk about LinkedIn. Which of the following best describes you? 1. At some point in the past, you created a LinkedIn profile, but stopped updating it. You just weren't sure what to do with it. 2. You're in the middle of an active job search process, but you're not relying on LinkedIn the way you're using a PDF of a cover letter and resume. Or 3. You're really happy in your current position. Since you're not looking for a new job, you wonder if LinkedIn has anything to offer you. And spoiler alert, it does. We're going to explore all of those things and more as we look at best practices for leveling up your LinkedIn presence. But to do that, we need to start by shoring up our current profiles. We're also going to hear from one of my students who worked closely with a team of recruiters who used LinkedIn exclusively to recruit candidates. We'll get some great insight into what human resources professionals and hiring managers want to see in your LinkedIn profile and what we should avoid. We're going to cover a lot, so feel free to pause and start the video over and over again as needed. We've also prepared a digital handout for you. Pause the video to type this quick link into a new browser tab so you can follow along with the handout while you're watching the video. Heads up though, that link is case sensitive. Now we're all set and ready to begin. I'm going to go from being in front of the camera to behind my computer so I can show you ways that LinkedIn can work for you. Many people describe LinkedIn as a social media platform, and that's true, but I really like to look at LinkedIn as a search engine. Just as you would use a search engine like Google to find information, potential collaborators, coworkers, even your dream employer could use LinkedIn to search and find you, and you could use it to find opportunities as well. Before we can leverage LinkedIn for some of those benefits, it's important to understand that your LinkedIn profile is the foundation upon which your entire LinkedIn presence is built. Before leveling up, we need to shore up our current profile. Here's a pro tip that I like to share with anybody who's going to apply several edits to their LinkedIn profile. You want to make sure that you turn off network notifications. Well, what exactly does that mean? Many of the content areas on your LinkedIn profile will feature a header that looks something like what you see on your screen. Notify Network. Highly recommend making sure that it's toggled off. If it's toggled on, every edit you make, or at least many of them, will generate a post, an update in the news feeds of your connections. Since you're going to be applying multiple updates to different sections of your profile, turn off network notifications. Save those for big changes, like you've received a new position, you've been promoted in your current position, or you completed your MBA. Do you like to have your picture taken? Even though I work in marketing and promotion, I'm not a huge fan of being photographed. Let's just say between you and me that I'm so thankful that I know how to use the airbrushing tool in Photoshop. But whenever a contact or friend asks me if they really need to have that profile image on their LinkedIn profile, I usually respond with a resounding yes. That's because that image of you, that headshot taken by a professional, or that really good selfie that you take on your phone is your key to more visibility. After all, LinkedIn is about getting noticed, having people find you. Adding that image will help you be found. It will also help people engage with you. Also, if you like to network with others at in-person events or through Zoom networking events, having that image on your profile, that headshot, is really important. Think about somebody you're connecting with who is also at that event. They probably met several people in a row. When you send a connection request to that individual, they can put your name and information about you to your face, and there's a lot of value in that. All we're looking for here is a simple and clear headshot. Could be professional, could be airbrushed, could be touched up or filtered however you want. But I think what's really important is to make sure that you're facing the viewer. Make eye contact with the person looking at your profile, just as you would if you were meeting them in person. I think it's also pretty key to make sure that the background of the headshot is simple. Could be plain, could be solid. You want to avoid anything distracting in your headshot. You want people focused on you, not what's going on around you. Part of that also includes taking a selfie over cropping your face out of a group shot. That just doesn't work. Sometimes those photos pixelate or stretch when they get put on LinkedIn. We don't want that. Again, a simple, clear headshot where you're making eye contact that lets the viewer see who you are. So here's a look at my LinkedIn profile page. We've established that this is the profile image, airbrushed. But what's this in the background? This large image that appears behind my headshot. Well, LinkedIn refers to that as the background photo. Similar to Facebook, Twitter, other social media platforms, you can use a background photo almost as like a cover to your profile page. Upload an image. You can even crop an image, filter, adjust it. There's some limited photo editing capabilities there. Now, where do you find these images? Do not do a Google image search. Instead, you want to use a free stock photo site. I recommend Pexels and include some links to other sources in our digital handout. Type a keyword into a free stock photo site. Here I use analytics as an example, and you'll find images that you're allowed to edit and manipulate and put on your LinkedIn profile. Now that we have the visuals sorted, let's move steadily down your LinkedIn profile page, stopping at the headline. Every profile has a headline, but what's its purpose? I actually think the headline is one of the most important pieces of information on a LinkedIn profile, but it's challenging to work with. You only get 120 characters to describe who you are, what you do, what your skills are, what you're good at, what you want to do, where you want to work, why somebody should hire you. That's a lot to include in a limited amount of space. So let's look at some strategies for leveraging your LinkedIn headline. Here are 3 of my favorite people in the universe. We have Amber, who works for the School of Business, Dr. Robert Young, who also teaches marketing at BW, and Sarah Wichtendahl, a brilliant graphic designer who teaches in our digital media design program on campus. What are their LinkedIn headlines? They're using current job titles or variations of their current job titles. Now, all of the information that you see on screen is featured in the People Also Viewed section of my LinkedIn profile page. Your display name, your profile image, and your headline travels throughout LinkedIn. It could show up on other connections pages. It could show up around the news feed. So you want to use a headline that accurately describes who you are, what you do, and what you have to offer. In many cases, that current job title does the trick. But have you ever been in a situation where your job title might have been a little obscure or maybe even too broad? Maybe it didn't accurately communicate what you do. If that's the case, take a cue from another colleague of mine, Hannah Schlater. Hannah runs the LaunchNet program at the Center for Innovation and Growth on BW's campus. Hannah's official job title is LaunchNet Program Manager, but Program Manager can mean many things to many different people. So she follows up her official job title with keywords that help provide relevant information and contextualize that job title. If we had to break what Hannah's doing down into a formula, it would look something like this: current title plus keywords. What are some other headline formulas that you could try? Current title plus experience plus keyword. We're just adding a little bit more information to that headline. An example might look like this: HR manager, 15 years experience with remote teams, talent development. HR manager, that's a somewhat generic sounding title. Somebody with that title could be responsible for many different things. Tacking talent development onto the end of the headline helps bring some meaning to what this person does. 15 years experience with remote teams, we're not only hinting at a specialization here, we're making it clear that this is a mid-career professional. If I'm a hiring manager looking for somebody to take on an important HR leadership role, and I have a remote team, this headline is going to stand out to me for sure. Another possible headline formula we could use is current title plus an action or verb plus an industry. Here's an example of this: HR manager at blank company, helping manufacturing leaders attract and keep top talent. We're name dropping the organization the person works with, and that can add a lot of value as well. We're also specifying that this is a person who has deep industry experience working within the manufacturing realm. Manufacturing HR issues are pretty complex, so I think that adds a lot of value by including it in the headline. Attracting and keeping top talent, well, there's a value proposition there. Making some sort of claim like that is a great way to use your headline. The About section, also referred to as the summary, is in many ways like a cover letter to the world. It's a free text area. You could answer it however you want, in sentences, in paragraphs. There are no specific parameters that LinkedIn gives you for the information you should provide there, which makes it a challenge. A lot of individuals aren't sure how to use this part of their profile, but it's your chance to tell your story. To help craft an effective About section, I think there's 3 pieces of information you want to make sure you include. Begin with a description of who you are right now. What's your current job title? Who's your current employer? Provide some examples of some of the projects that you're working on. Next up, explain how you got to this point. Where did you get your MBA? Where did you get your undergrad? Where have you worked in the past? What are some of your accomplishments and achievements throughout your career? Conclude with where you want to go. Those are your career goals. What's your dream job? What are you looking to do? Are you hoping to make a career pivot? Are you looking at advancing to the C-suite? Do you want to own your own company someday? By crafting an About section that includes these 3 pieces of information, you're essentially reporting on your past, present, and your future. Some other resources that might be helpful to you as you develop your About section could be a cover letter that you've used to apply for a job. As I mentioned, the About section is somewhat of an open cover letter. Take a position cover letter that you've submitted, edit out any references to the position you were applying for, and you'll have some good content for the About section. Alternatively, your current employer might use a bio of you on the company website or in other marketing materials. Check with someone in HR or marketing and communications about using that bio. That's a really good place to start when you're not sure what to put on your About summary. Next up is the Experience section of the profile. Here is where you will probably be copying and pasting from your resume quite a bit. Experience is where you refer to current and previous employers. You can indicate when you worked for those different employers and what your duties, tasks, and accomplishments were. Here we're looking at the Add Experience pop-up. Notice that I have Notify Network toggled to off. This is important if you're going back to your LinkedIn profile to make edits and corrections to your Experience area. If this were toggled on and you make a slight change to a listed experience, it could create an update in your newsfeed and cause some confusion too. It might make people think that you had a job change. Really like to have this toggled off. We have the title information. Now, as you start to type in many fields, LinkedIn will use predictive text, but maybe you have a job title that isn't featured. That's okay. Next, we can select the employment type, full-time, contract, etc. What I'm most concerned about with the Experience section is how users list their employer or their previous employers. You want to enter text spelling the name of your employer until it appears in the predictive list. Then hover over the name of your employer and click. When you do this, this will guarantee that you are linking to your organization's LinkedIn company page. There's a lot of benefits that comes with that link. Potentially, an employer or hiring manager might be searching for staff members at one organization, hoping to move them to their competing company. So they might be searching for individuals who work for a specific firm. It also helps you find people. It also helps make you visible. You can connect with current and former colleagues as well. Just be sure that your employer information is selected. If you're working with a small business or a startup that does not have a LinkedIn company page, you won't be able to do this. But for any of your organizations, make sure you're using the proper name of the company so that you can access the company's profile page link. As we move down, there's just some typical fields to complete. You do always have the option to change your headline on a position experience update as well. Note that you have 2,000 characters that will include spaces and punctuation to use to describe your current position. In some cases, that's probably more than enough. But if you're pulling from a CV or you're pulling from a very extensive resume, you might have to do some editing. Also, there aren't any text formatting features here in these fields for the description. So if your resume uses bullets, you might need to find an alternative way to present that information. Since you've toggled off network notifications, you can try to see how different attempts at formatting the content in the job description looks. If you're not happy, you can always go back and edit it. No one will know but you. One of the more social media-like aspects of the LinkedIn profile page is the skills and endorsements section. Let me show you what I mean. Toward the end of your profile page, you can list skills. You can actually list up to 50 skills on your profile and choose up to 3 to feature as your highlighted skills. Once a skill is on your profile page, one of your connections can endorse you for that skill. It's the equivalent to liking somebody's Instagram post. They're just saying, yes, I believe in this person's skill. They can do this. Try to list at least 5 skills on your profile. To add a new skill, I highly recommend using the desktop view of LinkedIn. Click Add a New Skill at the top of this content area. Once the Add Skills pop-up appears, you have a couple of different options. You can click on skills that were suggested to you by LinkedIn based on the information on your profile. Or you could use this text box to type in a skill. As you type, predictive text will give you some options. You can either hit return to use your skill as is or select from one of the suggestions, and then press save. Adding skills to your profile helps you get noticed. It helps users interact with you. It gives connections something to do with your profile. That's why I think it's a very social media-like component, but it's also essential. Again, the more aspects or features of your LinkedIn profile that you use, the more LinkedIn will reward you with additional and expanded profile views. Yellow jackets for life, right? Making sure that Baldwin Wallace University is properly tagged on your LinkedIn profile is exceptionally important. There could be hiring managers surfing LinkedIn specifically looking for BW graduates to hire. Maybe you see your dream job at a particular organization. When you view that job listing on LinkedIn, you might see that 12 other BW alumni work there. Maybe you had a class with one of those people. Maybe you graduated with one of those people. You have a foot in the door, but that information will only be given to you if you do the following. When you edit or add institutions to your education section, be sure to type the full, proper name of the university. Don't just put BW, BWU, or BWC. Start typing Baldwin Wallace University until it appears in the predictive list. Click on that listing, and Baldwin Wallace University will be added to your educational profile with a hyperlink to BW's LinkedIn company page. That's necessary for you to show up as an alum on the system and for you to get information about where alumni might be working. Be sure to do this for your undergraduate listing, your graduate listing, and any graduate certificates you have too. But what about certifications and licensure? Many of you might have the PMP through the Project Management Institute. In the digital marketing space, we have several certifications through Google. Do you put that in the education section? No, there's actually a specific widget you use to add certifications and licensure to your profile. Instead of the education section, on the desktop view, go to the top of your profile. Click Add Section. From there, select Licenses and Certifications. You'll be given a form to fill out for each license or certification you want to add. This can include a license number, a credential ID, information on expiration. You can also tag who granted you that licensure under Issuing Organization. What I really like about this is that if the credential has a digital badge, you can link to it. And that's a great enhancement. It's very visual and adds a lot to your LinkedIn profile. Speaking of education, stay tuned to the end of this video to learn more about the graduate business offerings from the School of Business at Baldwin Wallace University. We have a complete suite of specialized MBA programs, graduate certificates, and more. I myself am a little biased toward the Strategic Marketing Graduate Certificate and the Strategic Marketing MBA, but that's just me. Now that you've made some effective edits to your LinkedIn profile, let's start building your network by adding connections. Remember this list of 3 really amazing human beings that I showed you earlier? Take a look at the numbers to the right of their names. They're all flagged first. These are my first-degree connections. That means that we're directly connected to each other. As you surf LinkedIn, though, you may see that some individuals are flagged as second or second-degree connections. These are individuals with whom you have a common first-degree connection. Imagine you see a hiring manager who's flagged as a second-degree connection. That means that somebody you know also knows them. That person could introduce you, even recommend you, definitely give you a foot in the door. So be sure to pay close attention to the degree of connections of different users that you see throughout LinkedIn. To expand your network on the app, send connection requests to current and former colleagues. LinkedIn is an excellent way to keep in touch with people you used to work with. Expand your connection requests to professional contacts, vendors, and partners. Just be sure that you're making meaningful connections. This isn't a popularity contest necessarily. You want to reach out to people who you truly value. Lastly, add community contacts, friends, and alumni. That might be somebody you had MBA classes with, could be somebody you went to kindergarten with. Regardless, whenever you send a connection request to any user, be sure to include a message. This happens by default on desktop, but it doesn't happen with some of the connection request features on the mobile view. Why should you send a message? I work in marketing, so I get several messages from individuals who might want to hire the Digital Marketing Center. I might hear from individuals that want to give a job to one of my graduates. I might get messages from potential collaborators on professional projects and consulting projects. But I also get a lot of sales pitches too. Including a message helps the person understand who you are and why you're trying to connect with them. It's a great best practice to follow. By now, you've invested some time into editing your LinkedIn profile, so it's important to make sure that your updated presence is visible to the public. What exactly does that mean? There's a control panel on the LinkedIn editing screen that many users might not be aware of. I'm looking at my profile while logged into LinkedIn. In the upper right-hand corner of the desktop view, I see this link, Edit Public Profile and URL. Clicking it will open a new tab. This is your public profile settings panel. Everything on the left-hand side of the screen is what the public will see when they view my profile. On the right side of the screen, I see multiple controls to make edits and to update the visibility of different content sections of my profile. In the upper right, you have the opportunity to set a custom URL for your profile. I strongly suggest using some variation of your name or display name. Next up, we can edit the visibility of different aspects of your profile. You want to make sure that your profile's public visibility is on. You should see on and the toggle set to green. If it's not, it means that people aren't able to see what you just worked on. As we further scroll down on the right, we see multiple options. If you're not thrilled about having your profile photo publicly available on screen, you can set it so that only certain users, maybe LinkedIn members, people who are connected with you, or only first-degree connections can see that photo. In other words, you can prevent the public from seeing it. As we go further down, we can hide or enable different parts of our profile, and as we make changes, the left-hand content will dynamically update. Once you've made all the edits to your visibility settings, scroll down to take a look at your profile. If you're happy with what you see, you're good to go. There are no further saving or changes that you have to make, any buttons for you to click. You can edit this at any time. And if you have a website or use other social media, you can create a badge to further promote your LinkedIn presence. It's time to start leveling up your LinkedIn presence. And part of that includes making sure that your profile has what recruiters are looking for. To find out what those things are, let's check in with BW Senior Ezra Oli.
Hi, I'm Ezra Ole, student body president, senior digital marketing major, and Union Home Mortgage marketing intern. This summer, I worked with a group of recruiters who shared with me their LinkedIn pet peeves. Here are some good tips and rules from the recruiter perspective to follow. Don't just copy and paste your resume. Recruiters don't want your LinkedIn page to be the exact same as your resume. They want to learn more about you the more they look into your credentials. You can start with your resume content when you're fleshing out your LinkedIn profile, but don't stop there. You can include much more information and even media and links on your LinkedIn profile than you can on your resume. Set your location for where you want to work. For example, if you live in Chicago and are looking for work in Cleveland, your location should be Cleveland. This helps you appear in the right searches. Reply to recruiters even when it's a no thank you. These messages aren't always spam. These are actual individuals reaching out for your services. If the opportunity matches your background but isn't what you're looking for, reply to that effect. This helps you start to build a relationship with recruiters. They might have the right job for you in the future. Keywords, keywords, keywords. Recruiters filter by keywords when searching for candidates. In your About and Experience sections, include terms that are used within your industry or profession. However, avoid abbreviations that might not make sense to the general public. If you're in an organization like a fraternity or sorority, spell out the full name. I am a digital marketing student, so I will include keywords like search engine optimization in my profile instead of the abbreviation SEO. Those are my top 4 tips. I hope they help you level up your LinkedIn profile. Connect with me on LinkedIn for more.
It's time to step away from your profile and focus on the news feed. That's a very important part of LinkedIn. Part of leveling up means being visible. It means actively engaging with your connections by interacting with the different pieces of information and updates that they share. That's really what your newsfeed is all about. It's a great source of information curated by your connections and the brands that you might follow. This can sometimes be a stumbling block for LinkedIn users who just aren't sure where to begin. Don't worry, there's a way that you can step up toward being a LinkedIn newsfeed power poster. But it begins by doing something very simple. Take a look at your newsfeed and react to posts that your connections have shared. Then work your way up to commenting on posts that your connections have shared. All of your activity is tracked, and if you're regularly commenting or engaging, reacting to posts on a certain topic, that helps flesh out your profile even further. Next, share posts that others have created to your own newsfeed and work your way to creating your own posts. Let's start by reacting and commenting on somebody else's post. Param is one of my first degree connections. He's celebrating an accomplishment here. He had a new column published on cleveland.com, so he's created an update that links to that column. Below the preview summary of the article, we see how many individuals have already reacted to this post and how many have left comments. As I scroll down, I see a row of profile photos. LinkedIn has a tendency to showcase your first degree connections here. I think this is a way of encouraging you to jump in on the conversation as well. Below that row, we see some prompts that LinkedIn has provided. If you're not sure what your comment should be, these will definitely help you get started thinking about what you could post. Let's start with that reaction. When I hover over like, I see that there are different ways I could express my support of Param. I find much of what Param has to say to be incredibly insightful, so I'm going to use this reaction. And look, there's my profile photo too. Next up, we have the opportunity to comment. All right, just letting him know that this is a great article and I really did read it, I promise, and I'm congratulating him. I could take this one step further though. If I use the @ symbol, and there'll be a key for this on your mobile view as well. If I start typing, I can select Param, and this will tag him in my comment. It just draws a little bit more attention to the fact that I've left this comment. And he and I are on first name terms, so I can get rid of his last name and end it there and click post. Now let's look at sharing a post to your news feed. Sharing is a great way to let your connections know that you care about what they have to say and what their events and priorities are. It also helps to demonstrate what's important to you. Lindsay is one of my first degree connections. She's planning an event on professional and personal branding. I'm going to scroll down until I see the share option. If you're not sure what to share with a post, you don't necessarily need to include any commentary of your own, but I think it's helpful. I've tagged Lindsay there. I could keep grooming this simple post as much as I want, but the important thing is I've taken notice of something really amazing that a connection's doing, and I want my network to know about it. If you notice, there's Lindsay's post. So when I share this with my feed, they'll get my comment and her content as well. Now it's time to create a post. This is you producing an update that your connections will see in the newsfeed. Some LinkedIn users post updates frequently. They even use updates as a way to microblog, sharing opinions or motivational insights as well. If you're not sure what you should post, a great place to start is simply by sharing news articles or other resources that you've come across that you found to be interesting. Your network might care about it as well. Probably already reading the Wall Street Journal or the Morning Brew anyway. Most media sites have share bars, so you're going to be one click away from getting that content into the news feeds of others. I'm going to post the manual way to show you a couple of other things I want you to know about. This article from Harvard Business Review is an interview with a TikTok producer. And I wonder, hey, if your job was TikTok, would it still be fun? I'm going to grab the URL, pop over to LinkedIn and click in the composer. Once the Create a Post box appears, I'm going to paste in the URL or web address for that article. A few milliseconds later, this preview summary will appear. We'll see the image from the article, the headline. LinkedIn will also give readers a heads up about how long it will take them to consume a piece of content as well, which I find very useful. Once this preview summary appears, though, you can get rid of it. It doesn't have to be there. As long as you see this, your users will be able to connect with the article that you're promoting. Now, I'm looking at this prompt. What do you want to talk about? Doesn't have to be elaborate. Don't put pressure on yourself. Every post doesn't have to be incredibly thought-provoking or Pulitzer Prize winning. I like to encourage others to read the article, so I might do something very simple. I could also tag the media outlet. If I know the person being interviewed, I could tag them as well. I could expand on some information. I could also add different hashtags just to help get the content noticed by others. I could put more content, but I think I'm good for now. Scrolling down, and I'll click post. Once I do that, it'll both appear in my newsfeed and in the newsfeed of others. I'll also be able to track my activity from my profile if ever I want to refer back to this article again, and so could individuals. Again, the things that you react to, comment on, and share all add to a section of your profile. So the more you use LinkedIn, the more fleshed out your profile is, even though we're technically not working on your profile or in the newsfeed. Being active on LinkedIn doesn't have to be challenging. Once you get started, you'll find that it's easy to work into your daily routine. Begin by making a point to check LinkedIn every day. Recommend using the mobile apps for that for sure. It just makes it easier to fit into your schedule. Each day, react and comment on some of the posts that were shared by your connections in your newsfeed. Set a separate goal to create an original post that you share with your network once a week as well. You don't just have to link to articles on LinkedIn. You can share a photo. You could even share video content. Some users connected to company pages can post events, but I'd like to highlight the Write Article feature. I'd like to see more business professionals using this. If you tap that button, a whole blogging platform will open up. You're essentially creating a web page here with an image, headline, links, multiple editing tools. It's the real deal. You could use this to position yourself as a thought leader. Some of you may know our healthcare executive in residence, Tom Campanella. He made a point to use the article feature on LinkedIn. Those articles quickly circulated throughout the app and led to additional media exposure. Tom wasn't looking to switch jobs, he wasn't looking to advance in his career, but he was able to position himself as an industry expert. It brought a lot of media attention to his role, and he continues to see benefits in his own consulting on and off campus. If you're actively looking for a new opportunity, LinkedIn has much more to offer you than just the profile and newsfeed. First, let's access the Jobs area. On the desktop view, you can access the Jobs area in the upper menu. Click the briefcase icon. On most mobile views, however, the briefcase icon is in the footer. When you click that icon, you'll be taken to custom position listings. You can also set job alerts based on title, industry, and location. That's very helpful. But in addition to job descriptions and postings, LinkedIn has some tools to help you plan and prepare. There's a salary calculator. Enter in a job title with a company and a particular location, and you'll get an idea of a salary range. There's also an entire widget set around skill assessments. These are multiple choice quizzes. If you score high enough, you get a digital badge. What I like about this is that LinkedIn will suggest some recommended skill assessments based on your profile. You can also explore other industries and other topics as well. Click the Learn More link on the skill assessment page, and that will take you to a directory of all available skill assessments. What I like about this is that you can view different types of quizzes. You even get sample questions to help you prepare. Next up is the interview widget. This is an entire section of LinkedIn that is geared toward a range of professionals. You could be a mid-career pro looking to advance to the C-suite. You could be a college student without much interview experience, getting ready and hoping to land that first job. This widget includes a list of the 26 most commonly asked HR interview questions. Oh, there's that terrifying and ambiguous "tell me about yourself." This tool is helpful because you can practice your answers. You can do that by video or written response, and you can choose to get feedback from others on how well you answered those questions. Definitely a useful tool. For the most part, LinkedIn is free to use. The system generates revenue from advertisers hoping to reach different audiences on the platform, but there are some paid plans. Paid plans can be useful if you're actively looking for a new role. Here's a look at a job description. Notice this line. If I had a premium plan, I would get inside information on how I compare to other applicants who applied through LinkedIn. There's additional features that you can get, including opportunities to see more of who viewed your profile and opportunities to reach out to people outside of your network. We're at the end of our session. It's been my goal to help you see that leveling up on LinkedIn doesn't have to be difficult. In fact, it begins with the simple process of making some edits and additions to your current profile. Make sure that profile is visible. You want to show off your career history or your career potential. Be proud of what you've done and what you have to offer. Get active in that newsfeed. Interact with your connections and create your own content, posting updates and setting goals to make it a regular habit. Lastly, check out the advanced features that are right for you. If you're looking for a job, there are definitely some helpful tools. If you're happy where you're at but would like to position yourself as an industry thought leader, write some articles, share video content, go to town. Additional links and resources for today's presentation are available at our digital handout.
My name is Carmen Castro Rivera, and I'm the Director of Admissions for the Graduate Business Programs in the School of Business here at Baldwin-Wallace University. In the School of Business, we offer undergraduate programs, graduate degree programs, and professional development non-credit programs. The Flexible MBA is an option for students that allows them to pick their start term, the pace in which they complete the degree, the format in which they take classes, including in-person, live online, or by watching a recorded session. In addition, students pick their area of specialization. We offer a healthcare MBA program, which is a long-standing program for experienced professionals in the healthcare industry. It is a weekend format program, and it provides a career catalyst for those who are pursuing careers in healthcare. In addition, we offer a Master of Accountancy program. The Master of Accountancy program offers both daytime and evening options and includes a Becker CPA Review capstone. Our one-year MBA program allows students who are recent graduates to fulfill their master's degree in 1 year and includes an applied project and international experience. We also offer graduate certificates, which are shorter, targeted programs which allow individuals to dive into specialized areas of study and offer the benefit of being stackable to an MBA. Thank you for the opportunity to share a little bit about the programs in the School of Business. If you're interested in learning more, visit our website at business.bw.edu